In this video, we are going to learn how to calculate vertical exaggeration. As a warning, this video may be more educational than it is entertaining. How to calculate vertical exaggeration. Vertical exaggeration is simply your map value divided by your profile value. In other words, your map scale divided by your profile scale. What vertical exaggeration is it's a measure of how much our profile has been stretched relative to the map it was created from. Now, in an earlier video, you learned how to create a topographic profile. So to speed this video along, I have already drawn the profile that is reflected by this map. The first thing I want to point out before we even begin is our map scale. Here we have a 1, a colon, and 24,000. What that means is that 1 inch on this map equals 24,000 inches in the real world. Note that there are some maps where you will see a 1 to 40,000 or a 1 to 100,000. And likewise, that means that on a 1 to 40,000 scale map, 1 inch on that map equals 40,000 inches in the real world. Or on a 1 to 100,000 inch map, 1 inch equals 100,000 inches in the real world. But for this map, 1 inch equals 24,000 inches in the real world. Before we continue on, I always encourage my students to look at what units is their profile being created in. On this one here, we can see that it's elevation in feet. So my map scale is in inches. My profile scale is in feet. That will come back later on. Now, before moving on, I want to point out that we can see we have these blocks from 700 feet, 800 feet, 900 feet to 1,000 feet. To help you out, just to illustrate this, there are 10 little blocks in between each of these bigger blocks. That means each little block represents 10 feet. We'll use that when we count to determine how much our profile scale is. So the first thing we want to learn is we need to make sure our units are in the same. I always encourage everyone to go to the bigger units. So with that being said, I need to convert my map scale units into feet so I can properly use them when we start to calculate our profile, which we will then use to calculate vertical exaggeration. So if we have 24,000 inches on this map, I need to convert to feet. So how many inches are there in a foot? 12. That is correct. So what we will do is we will take 24,000 inches divided by 12 inches, and that will tell us how many feet our map is drawn in. So in this scenario, 1 inch equals 2,000 feet on our map. That number will come back later on. Now, we need to figure out how many feet are in 1 inch of our profile. That is where our ruler comes in. So take your ruler, lay it along the side of your profile where your values are given. Mark where 1 inch is. Remove your ruler and simply count the blocks. To help you out, there are 13 blocks. And since each one of these little blocks on this scale here represents 10 feet, our profile scale for 1 inch equals 130 feet. So again, just to make sure we understand, we are trying to calculate the scale differences over 1 inch. So 1 inch on this map equals 24,000 inches, which equals 2,000 feet in the real world. 1 inch on this profile is equal to 130 feet as this profile is drawn. Now, in order to simply calculate vertical exaggeration, we divide our map scale by our profile scale. So in this scenario, we have 2,000 feet for our map scale, 130 feet for our profile scale. Our units would cancel, and we would get 15.4x. What that represents is that our profile has been stretched 15.4 times relative to how the original map was drawn. And that is how you calculate vertical exaggeration.